And we owned more photographs of bedrooms, bathrooms, and kitchens than any other collection in the world.
Let's drink to that. We have more photographs of bathrooms.
A lot of that. I mean,
kitchens, kitchen cabinets.
Oh, you must have been a hit at parties.
oh yeah, people loved it.
Who wants to see my?
Anybody want to see my furnished kitchen?
You guys got to see this hallway montage I put in. I got like 1,000 hallways. Oh gosh, look what time it is.
1,000 bathroom photos.
That wouldn't leave. Another game of Monopoly.
And I took a photo of a faucet. You got to see it. I got it in the back. Oh my gosh, I would love to. I've got to run.
Most of the lessons I've learned have been hard.
It's not just selling a product, it's selling anything.
My mom came home and said, I heard they're having clown college auditions, and I told my mom, good luck, go get them.
Time to catch up with the CEO Bros after hours. The conversation continues.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Good to be
Back again.
You know,
Nice.
we were bringing up last week about the coup.
Yeah.
The attempted coup.
The attempted
We're still
coup,
here.
yeah.
We're still
Where
here.
Brian, you and I were going to be next, and he was going to bring in the Manning brothers.
Eli and
So
Peyton.
how's that working out for you?
Well, so, and I'm having some difficulties, and by difficulties, I mean no one's returning my phone calls or texts. Quickly though, because you did mention like, oh, we'll replace the host, which that's cool. Do you guys own the rights to CEO Bros, the logo? Is that just for sake of a business talk? Do you guys own the rights to that? I'm asking for a friend.
It's for a friend.
I'm asking for a friend. Yeah, I don't care if you own the
Not
rights.
that you
or
want
not.
Talk about intellectual property, man.
Yeah, like let's just say someone goes, "Oh, I'm going to do my own podcast with a couple of brothers." CEO Bros.
The answer is no. You can't touch the CEO Bros.
Really?
That was actually going to be one of our topics, Matt. So it's interesting. You
Nice
brought
try.
that
Nice
up.
try that you attempted to not only throw a coup on the brothers, but now swipe the
wrote
logo.
in and said, "Hey, how does that work?" And I am just passing that along.
I had to sue somebody once, Matt. So.
Nice.
Intellectual property.
Wait, you had to sue someone over that?
Sue somebody, yeah.
All right,
yeah.
let's get to that.
All right, I'll jump in.
So let's talk about intellectual property means. In all seriousness, you have an autism business. So when you're starting the autism business, you don't. And I'm sorry to be simplistic on this. You
No,
can't
that's your
trademark.
role, right? I know you're just playing the part, right?
Yeah, and I.
What can you tell me?
And I play one on TV, and I'm simplistic. Can you trademark an autism business? No, you can't, because anyone could go into the business.
Well, think about intellectual property in three categories. Okay. So there's patents, there's trademarks, and there's copyright. Okay.
Those are different.
Yes.
Three separate categories of
That's
intellectual
like
property.
chemistry, biology, and earth science.
I think I knew patent would be, but trademark and copyright, I would think this.
Yeah, so think of it as trademark. You're protecting a brand or an image.
Your name, your logo.
your logo, the brand. You trademark that.
So interestingly, I don't know if you guys saw, but Matthew McConaughey recently tried to trademark his image so that people can't use it in the future. Like have AI do Matthew McConaughey. I
Interesting.
think he's one of the first ones. Yeah.
Interesting. Patent. When you hear the term patent, you're protecting an invention,
Okay.
an invention,
Or a
some kind of
process, or
a process, a device, something that no one's ever seen before, and you want a patent on protecting the design of that.
Okay.
And then copyright, published works, images, books, movies,
photographs.
right? So there's three different types of intellectual property rights that you can secure. By your side, ironically for us, we simply got a trademark on our brand name and our logo, our little red and yellow guy, and the name By Your Side attached to that logo, because we felt it was a good logo. We felt it was a good brand name. We actually, going back to our first couple episodes when we were talking about putting the time and energy into a name, into a brand, that don't just wing it and throw it out there. Like think of something that's going to have staying power, something you're going to be proud of years down the road from now. And so one of the things, once we got to year 2 in business and we got a little further along, we said, okay, this is a brand that we think we can grow and that we want to protect it. So we actually went and filed for a trademark, and we successfully received that. And so there's a trademark on buyer side name and brand.
And is that By Your Side Autism Services? Because By Your Side is very general.
It's Buyer Side Autism Therapy Services, the name with the little red and yellow logo guy, which we can put up on there on the video. So that's the only thing we got trademarked, because the service we were providing, which is ABA therapy, commonly held or well-known fact that it's one of the most effective therapy treatments for behavior therapy, especially in the autism space. So there wasn't any shape or form we were going to get patent, trademark, or copyright on any of that, right? It was just getting a trademark on the name and brand. But Brian's got quite the story as it relates to intellectual property.
Before we do it, so then going back so I can clarify, what was the basketball story with someone trying to three-peat? They were trying to copyright? Or
Pat Riley copyrighted that term, trademarked that term, three-peat. So anytime any of the networks wanted to call it a three-peat, they had to pay him a royalty.
And he was successful?
He was successful, yeah. So then I think that just opened the doors. People were trademarking everything.
Because it was enough of a derivation of three-peat that, or...
Well, he just trademarked three-peat. So when the Bulls won their fourth, and it was a four-peat, someone else probably owned that trademark.
Yeah. I think probably one of the most... Probably
like March Madness, I think, is trademarked by the NCAA.
Oh, it's got to be. I mean, it's got to be such a popular terminology at time of the year that everybody says March Madness.
I know Super Bowl's trademark because man, people avoid that term like the plague during advertising.
Oh my gosh!
The big game,
the bowl that's great,
the bowl that's super,
the football game that is spectacular. No, but like have a nice day, right? That smiley face with the phrase "Have a nice day." I'm sure that was copywritten or trademarked, because it's around everywhere. It's used over and over, and I'm sure someone somewhere has got the rights to that. But interesting. I mean, it's funny when you talk about copyright, because big story happened with Brian, and I'm always trying to get him to tell the story. It's kind of ironic now we have a podcast; he can talk about it. But
that's true. I've always wanted to talk about it.
And you're able to talk about what, like when we're going to hear the story. How much are you able to tell us?
I think I'm going to be able to tell a lot of it.
Really?
So,
and I'm going to rail on some people, and I'm going to talk about my attorney.
Because it's funny, during the trial, our attorney, our lead litigator, was adamant that I not talk about it. But now it's completely over.
It's done.
It's done.
So
it took 8 years.
Give the 30-second elevator pitch. What was the whole lawsuit about, without just the kind of the key headlines, and then we can go into it from there.
So Zillow, the homes where you search for homes for sale, was using photographs that we owned and had registered for copyright protection without a license. They didn't pay us. They didn't get a license from us to use them. So that's copyright infringement. And so we sued them for it. I mean, we tried to settle it, but they did not want to settle.
So your photographers, your videographers around the country taking snapshots, images, videos of homes for sale, different real estate. You guys then using that VHT to obviously market your services to real estate realtors that are out there. Zillow just took the kind of the shoddy, cheap way of getting those photos themselves. Just I'll take them from you guys off of your website and use them. Is that essentially what they did?
So we owned the photographs and we copyrighted them. And I'll tell you about that part, because that's unique as well, how you get something copyright protected. And we did something really pioneering there. But then we license the photographs to real estate agents to use in their marketing materials, their brochures, their social media, their online stuff. They don't own the photographs. They pay us for a license to use the photographs. I think that's one thing a lot of people, didn't understand, maybe still don't understand, and probably hate about photography, is that the photographer owns the images. Whether it's your wedding, your birthday, a corporate event, what the photographer is giving you is a license to use those photographs for commercial purposes. And it's usually based on what you're using them for. Like if you're using them in a TV commercial, they're going to charge you a lot more than if you're just using them in a brochure.
So that's interesting. So if there was a wedding, if Matt was getting married or I was getting married, if we wanted to get a professional photographer done of our pictures, is it typical then to see an agreement with a wedding photographer saying that you are licensing these photos, or am I outright purchasing, or is it not that complex enough that you don't even think that's in.
I don't think most people realize that that's in there. Some of it's changing. I've seen photographers now in the digital age saying you can have all the photographs, but usually the license says you can't actually do anything with them other than enjoy them in your home.
No, because when we got married, there was a great picture of the church of St. John Brebeuf, and I remember sending it to the pastor saying, "Hey, I got this great picture from our wedding.
Yeah, you
Feel
probably
free to use this." And I did not even thinking. And if they used it in any of their things, I took someone's property.
You probably
even though I
did.
paid for the pictures, I don't own that image.
Usually any ad agency that's
sold
worth their
myself up on
salt
lawsuit.
will ensure that you have the rights to use those photographs.
Okay.
They would not just put them in a brochure or a commercial or an ad. I mean, even, we were talking football earlier. At the end of the game, it always says the telecast is copyright by the NFL. You cannot use this for any commercial purposes. You can use it for your personal enjoyment, and that's it.
How well do you think this fact right here is known?
It's not. This has been
Like I was gonna say, like if you're an amateur photographer or you're an independent photographer, videographer out there starting your own business, I mean, this is not something that you are well versed on and you're educating people on. Hey, I own these photos. I'm licensing them to you. And is it something they should be
This
concerned
is
about?
something we focused on for the whole 25 years we were in business, because it's the law, it's the way things work, but people don't understand it. They tend to think, well, I'm paying you for your time to come shoot the photographs, or I'm paying for the pictures themselves and I now own them. But that's not actually the way copyright law works. The person who owns the intellectual property decides who has rights to use it and who doesn't. And typically the way you grant rights is through a license. And the licenses are very specific. You can do this, you can't do this.
So how much of this do you believe what Zillow did was ignorance versus malicious intent?
Well, and let me bring up a specific example.
Well, no, I want to answer that question.
Well, it goes along with it, because in the same with that question, I'm just having this thought. 10 years ago, when we were looking for a house, I remember on Zillow, it had VHT little logo on the bottom, and I'm going, oh, but that's Brian's company. Was that probably out of compliance at that point? And how much, to Brad's question, did they know, or was it
malicious intent or ignorance?
That one probably wasn't, because it was there was a little bit of a gray line in real estate. Like, we're licensing the photographs to the agent to market the property. Part of marketing the property is putting it on Zillow.com so people could see it. So that wasn't what the lawsuit was about. The lawsuit was that Zillow started another business, a website for home decorating and design. And if you wanted ideas on how to decorate or redesign your home, you could come to this site, and it had millions of photographs. So you would say, oh, I want to decorate my kitchen in like a Western style. And they would bring up photographs. Well, the photographs that they were using for that website came from the real estate site.
I had no idea. I just assumed it was
They just
Zillow.
repurposed them.
Wow. So it was a second business Zillow did. And they go, well, we already got these.
We've already got them. Let's just use
That's
them.
not ignorance. They had to know that. I think I would even know that.
That's why we went to court. So
No, I would see that as probably, I would say that as not ignorance, but almost like, I mean, it's fine over here. Do they really even care we're using our photos over here? I mean, how dialed in do you think they were in that approach? I mean, do you think they knew? Like,
they absolutely knew. Yeah. Because
Well, you have to say that now that the court case is over.
well,
Because if you said now,
well, we won
Brian, you lost and you got sued. So how do you know?
No, we actually won the
You did
lawsuit.
win. You did.
So I
You did
can,
win the
I can
lawsuit.
say confidently, yes.
And that lawsuit, as we talked about in a previous episode, is a case study now being in law books, in law classes, in universities around the country, as this was a case study for copyright infringement and what not to do.
It was precedent setting, like a number of different precedents. Like, I'll go back to the first thing, which was copyright law and the Copyright Office are way behind, like a lot of government entities, just technology-wise. They can't keep up with everything. And we needed to copyright hundreds of thousands of photographs. I mean, we would photograph tens and hundreds of thousands of homes every month.
So was that part of your process? So get all these pictures, all these images, send in, and then are you guys literally issuing copyright on those, or do you just own them so you don't have to file copyright?
You have to file like you own copyright automatically, but if you want to sue, for infringement, you need to have them registered.
So that was part of your guys' process, though.
Yes,
You have
we
these,
said we're
you
going to
have these
register
images,
every
we're going to
photograph.
register every photo.
Every photograph.
Wow.
Little did we know that the Copyright Office wasn't really set up for that. We were one of the first that ever came to them and said, we have bulk photographs. Because they sent us a form. And they're like, well, just fill out a form for each photograph, like a paper form. Download this form from our site.
Picture, and you
per
have
picture,
thousands of pictures.
who shot it, what was the date, what's the subject of the photograph. We're like, okay, this is insane. This doesn't work. And so they said, well, we're rolling out this new process. If you want to be the first, So we worked with them for like 2 years. Our attorneys, Alon Villeneuve, was here in Chicago. He's genius in IP, worked with them, figured out a process, and it opened the door. Like a lot of other companies had this same issue. A lot of media companies, news companies needed to copyright protect in bulk. So I had kind of a group behind us in doing this. And we figured it out over a couple of years. So when Zillow didn't agree with us and we threatened to go to court, the attorneys all said, well, this is a new way of registering copyrights. It's never been tested in the courts before.
So this was
is going to be totally precedent.
So it was precedent. I'm sorry. It was precedent setting for filing a copyright. Number one, just getting a copyright because
that's the first thing Zillow challenged was, you don't own the copyrights.
Because you're doing in bulk, not on individual.
Well, did you say cease and desist, or did you say you owe us money from the get-go?
We said, we'll license them to you. We'll do a license deal, and they said no. We're not going to pay for them. Their argument was the real estate agents gave us the photographs and told us we could do anything we want with them, and we said, well they don't own the photographs. It's like, well, then sue the agents. They lied to us.
That's so fascinating. I had no idea.
No, you go sue the agents. They lied to you.
Right.
Because the agents are both of our customers. So they were trying to put the agents in the middle of this fight. We're like,
just challenging that for a second. We don't have to relitigate this, but the reality is that those photographers and videographers were not 1099 employees. They were independent contractors.
Right.
So what gave you guys the rights to their photographs? What gave you rights to those photographs if they weren't your employees?
So from day one, they signed work for hire contracts with us. And as a backup, like they call it belt and suspenders in legal, they also assigned all rights to intellectual property to VHT.
Okay.
And the reason for that, which is really important, is individual photographers on their own have a very hard time protecting their copyrights. I mean, these guys would have been trampled on. So it takes a company that can actually, bear the brunt of a lawsuit and litigate to protect the photographers. So we always said to our photographers, hey, day one in our business plan, it said, these are very valuable, these photographs. There's a lot of potential uses for photographs of kitchens, bedrooms, bathrooms. And we owned more photographs of bedrooms, bathrooms, and kitchens than any other collection in the world. Stock libraries.
We have more photographs of bathrooms.
A lot of
kitchens, kitchen cabinets.
Oh, you must have been a hit at parties.
Oh yeah, people loved it.
Who wants to see my?
Anybody want to see my furnished kitchen?
You guys got to see this hallway montage I put in. I got like 1,000 hallways. Oh gosh, look what time it is.
1,000 bathroom photos.
That wouldn't leave.
And I took a photo of a faucet. You got to see it. I got it in the back. Oh my gosh, I would love to. I've got to run.
I've got to run. No, so Bryce, so you got these independent
by the way,
contractors
impressive.
that sign off on that their photographs are going to be copyright and protected by you guys.
Right.
Okay. And
our agreement was these are worth something, and at some point we'll license these and we'll rev share back to you. We'll be kind of like the BMI or ASCAP for musicians. BMI and ASCAP manage the rights for musicians. We'll do it for photographers, and we'll figure out a way to, because there's a lot of people that would want to use these: appraisers, insurance companies, designers, decorators.
So your lawsuit was also representing these photographers.
In essence, yeah. Technically, it wasn't. It wasn't a class action lawsuit. It was just us. But
even precedent setting, you are protecting the. Yeah. Okay.
We were very.
They were very happy.
The industry was very happy for us, and this is why when and this is where I'm probably skating on the edge here. Zillow knew that nobody could sue them. Like nobody was big enough to sue them for copyright. Independent photographers. They knew at some point somebody would come knocking on the door going, hey, you can't use those photographs. And we're like, all right, here's $50, go away.
Like literally, yeah. Here's five photographs, here's $100.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they won the SEO wars by having more photographs on their site than any other website. So if you searched real estate in Google would go, oh, well, here's Zillow's got 15 million photographs on their site. But they didn't own the photographs. They didn't really even have the rights to these photographs. Wow. So, it was messy. There was a lot of issues. And, of course, when you're in a lawsuit, you challenge everything. So Zillow challenged, hey, did you really get the rights from your photographers? Did you actually give a license to the agents or did you give it to the brokers? And what does the license say? And how does it prevent us from using them? And how did you register these with the copyright office?
Did you worry any one of those were going to derail your lawsuit? Like, did you go to, when did you know, like, nope, I have all my T's crossed and I's dotted? Or were you pretty confident from the beginning?
No, I wasn't because, when you're
precedent setting.
It was precedent setting. And when you're
could have went multiple directions.
When you're a startup, you don't really think about those things. You think about, hey, we should protect our photographs. So we register them with the copyright office. That's smart. But you didn't, we didn't spend a ton of money on our license to agents. Yeah. We didn't spend a ton of money on our contract with photographers. We felt it was covered, but all of a sudden it's 100 times more important. It's like, holy shit, we should have spent some more time and money on this.
How protected? How well is this drafted? Yeah. How well do we have every angle buttoned up? I can imagine that's got to be really.
Yeah, and I don't want to keep sounding. I haven't heard this story before, so much is new to me. How did you get legal representation? Because I think we talked in another episode. What I do know is that we talked about you saying, no, we did not use our lawyers. This was specialty. So how did you get someone to take something that was precedent?
So that was another precedent-setting piece of this. At the time, there was a new industry starting up, which was called litigation financing. So, in the past, you either got a law firm to take something on contingency or you paid the bills every week, and they were huge. And we were by no means did we have the money to be able to support this lawsuit. We got a quote from our law firm said, this is going to be between $3 and $5 million. By the time this thing completely plays out.
And our revenues are $2 million.
Right.
So we're going to struggle.
We should have just bought that new hot tub. So we went out and I actually interviewed, there was probably 6 at the time, companies in the world that did litigation funding. And the deal is they'll pay for it and then they take a percentage of the proceeds. And we found one in New York. I think they had offices in London and Shanghai that were specifically looking for copyright infringement lawsuits because in copyright infringement, the penalties are enormous.
That's where you say like the $10,000 a photograph,
right?
$1,000 per photograph, per occurrence, and it could just add up to millions.
Yeah, the punitive damages because the law is meant to keep people from doing it again. If they just have to pay for the license, it's like, well, what's the point? They're going to trample all over you.
You got to make it extremely.
You got to make it hurt.
Wait, why is that not contingency? What's the difference?
Because if we don't win, they don't get paid.
Who doesn't?
But so the difference is there's a third party. If an attorney took it on contingency, they either get paid if they win or they get nothing if they lose. Our law firm's like, no, we need to be paid. So we got a funder who agreed to pay them and in exchange take 30% of the proceeds when we win. Right, so it's a third party. That's a good question.
So attorney would take it, provided they're being paid.
They're getting paid.
And you're going, we can't pay it, so we got to find a third party source that will pay for it only in the event, if you guys lose, they're paying them. If you win, they get a cut of that.
Right, yeah. Yep.
Man, interesting.
Wow.
Really interesting.
Interesting.
And it's precedent setting on multiple fronts. So it's, that, and I would imagine too, Brian, like where you're like, hey, I'll give up 30, 40% of my proceeds because even if and I don't know at what point you were saying, even at zero gain, even if it was a zero, think about the advertising. This brings forward.
We got a lot of publicity.
You're all over the press, and who's VHT? You're getting all this free press. I'm sure you guys were thinking big score payout. Hey, this actually is infringement on copyright. They do
they do owe us because
Right, it's
we
like,
paid,
no, we were thinking of that.
we paid our,
yeah.
we paid our videographers and photographers to take all these photos. They're ours. They're our photos. We've gone through the process of making sure they're ours. Now you have just willingly took them. You're going to pay for that. And that's the idea.
Yeah, and our investors obviously like that as an exit strategy. And from our perspective, it was, yes, it puts us in a spotlight, gets us a lot of attention on a topic that we don't mind being the champion of. Both in the real estate industry and the photography industry, and it was protecting the value of our intellectual property. If we ever wanted to sell the company, we knew that the 20 million photographs we had to be worth something.
Oh.
And, if other people are just using them, an acquirer is going to go, well, they're not worth anything. Zillow uses them. These guys use them.
In short, you won the lawsuit. Yes.
Yes.
You won. Not initially, though. I think you.
No, we won it, and then they appealed, and there was a couple things that we lost on appeal. We won one appeal, lost one appeal. They appealed again. We put in I can't remember what the term for it is, but something to the Supreme Court because this is an issue that's coming up in other places. And we had, I can't remember. Friends of the Court briefs from Disney and NBC and Universal Studios and Comcast. Anybody who owned intellectual property was interested in this case, and so they were writing amicus briefs to the court. And one side note, we talk about all the stuff that's going on in politics right now. We were in Seattle, and a case came up. It was
7th District, right? This is 7th District.
I don't remember anymore. It was such a crazy time. I blanked a lot of this out, but somebody sued when he was still, I think he was just president at the point. And so our judge said, hey, tomorrow, Wednesday, we can't have trial. We're doing a case and so you can go in the other courthouse and watch on TV, but we're going to need this courtroom. I'm hearing the case that day. It was like right in the middle of our 4-week trial. We had to just vacate the courthouse for a day.
You just wait for the big guy. He gets his case done first.
It was an expedited.
But so you guys won the case.
Case.
And so fantastic. Congrats on that. And I know that was an 8-year
The appeals
process.
went on for
It was an 8-year process.
The appeals went on for 4 years.
Probably
4 or 5 years. Yeah, 8 years total.
And you were in Seattle for a while, right?
I was in Seattle for like 4 or 5 weeks for the trial. They one day while I was there, they got about 1/10 of an inch of snow and the entire city shut down. They called us and said, you can't come to court today. Everything's closed. Like, what?
Well, I think what we're going to talk about, it's funny because Matt brings up intellectual property. We talk about the 3 kinds, right? We talk about patents, trademarks, copyright. There's just no way we're going to talk about this topic without going through the Zillow lawsuit because it's a case study in major universities and law schools across the country talking about this case. But we'll ultimately have to get to as a new business owner. When do you get copyright? When do you get patent? When do you? I know we're
when
talking
do
to a couple
you? How do you? How do you enforce it?
That'll have to be a whole nother episode because it wasn't like you can't touch on the Zillow lawsuit for like 2 minutes and then move on. It's a
it's a book
My
topic, right?
even investors, like were your investors like, yeah, go ahead and sue? We're like, no, we don't. We're not. That's not what we're in business for.
No, they were definitely behind it because they saw it as a potential big exit strategy, cash out. And to Brad's point about what did we see in hindsight, I think if I had to do it over again, we probably would have done better settling, like forcing them to settle. We had a law firm that had proposed to us, hey, we've done this for Southwest Airlines and for some other companies. We can get them to settle for a big amount. And a lot of it was around PR and just making sure the industry and the world was aware of what they were doing to the point where they had to settle. And for whatever reason, we chose to go, no, we want to win this case. And
Looking back, a settlement probably would have been healthy.
a settlement would have been very healthy. It wouldn't have given us the other benefits of locking in the value, because usually in a settlement everything is like, hey, nobody did anything wrong, everything's sealed.
So the photographers, your industry was happy you won.
Yeah, because then that
that
kind
you
of
do it for
opened
them,
the
but
doors for
yeah.
them to enforce their copyright. All photographers. There's 20, 30,000 real estate photographers in the country.
And talking about another episode. I mean, AI, what they're doing. That's a whole other.
That's where we ultimately thought the value was going to be. We actually filed for a patent on a process to use our photographs to train AI. This was, almost 10 years ago. Ultimately, we didn't get the patent, but we did go through the process of filing, refiling. I'm helping someone today with filing a patent for an invention that they have and trying to decide between a design patent and a functional patent and which is the best route to go. There's a lot to it, and it is important if you have intellectual property that is your competitive advantage, differentiates you, generates revenue, to protect it.
Yeah, file for protection, even if it's pending, because pending is as good as having it. Like, so even when our trademark was pending for buyer side, I was worried, like, how long is this going to take? And they're like, as long as it's pending, you're protected.
Because then you're first in line. It doesn't mean that you will actually win, but at least if your patent stands up or your copyright or trademark stands up, you were there first.
I always wonder about that because you're on Shark Tank saying, "Oh, patent pending," and they're all like, "Okay." I'm like, "Wait, that's okay."
Yeah, because if they're first in, which in most cases they are first in, because the patent office in that case, or the trademark or the copyright office, wouldn't have allowed them to file. They would tell you, "Hey, there's already one in. You can't." If it's pending, it means it's processing through. It could take a year, could take 14, 16, 18 months. But the reality is you're in first, and pending is as good as having it in many cases, to protect what you need. But yeah, we can definitely go on this topic further. This is a good one, but there's no way we were skipping out on a good Zillow story.
I didn't know all that. That was interesting.
I'll write a book someday.
There you go. Yeah.
Or do a podcast.
Sunday?
maybe.
You'll write a book Sunday?
I don't know about Sunday.
I think you said Sunday. Pretty sure you said Sunday.
And good luck if you get Eli or Peyton to call you back.
Now that I know that this isn't copyrighted.
You mean that's
all
not
a ruse.
trademark? That's not trademark? It is trademark.
You know what's not copyrighted is hitting that subscribe button. You can do it, and no one's going to sue you, and it's free, and we want you to. Hit the subscribe button, send us emails, questions, anything you want, and we'd be happy to answer.
That sounds good.
Great story,
Cheers, guys. All right.
Thanks for bringing it up.
Captain Copyright.
Captain Copyright. That'll be my new name.